My name is Bobby. Standing on the stage, holding my diploma tightly, I could still feel the hot tears streaming down my face. Just moments ago, a thunderous cheer erupted from the back of the seating area. Turning my head, I saw my friends Ava, waving both arms like a windmill, and Jake, holding up a huge sign that read "We're with you, Bobby." There were also Lily and Max from the study group, clapping so hard their hands must have been red. In that moment, I felt a warmth I'd never experienced before. But just before this, as I stood in the graduate assembly area, adjusting the tassel on my cap for the umpteenth time, I was filled with a deep sense of loneliness. Around me, families were bustling, parents were taking pictures, and siblings were laughing. But my family? There was no sign of them. Let me take you back. I grew up in a middle-class family. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, always seemed to have more time and attention for my younger brother Ethan. Ethan was the outgoing one, always in the spotlight, while I was the quiet achiever, the one who flew under the radar. When I was 10, I won a regional art competition. My painting was displayed in the town hall, and I came home with a shiny medal. That same week, Ethan got a participation trophy in a mini basketball game. My parents threw a small party for Ethan, with balloons and a cake, while my medal was placed on a dusty shelf in my room. As I got older, the difference in treatment became even more obvious. When I brought home straight A's on my report card, my dad would just say, "Good job, Bobby. We expect nothing less." But when Ethan brought home a C, they'd take him out for ice cream to cheer him up. On my 17th birthday, I received a second-hand book and a note that said, "Use this to study hard." Meanwhile, when Ethan turned 17, they bought him a brand new motorcycle. I got my first job at a local coffee shop, saving every penny to pay for my college textbooks. Ethan, on the other hand, never had to worry about money. My parents covered his tuition, gave him a generous monthly allowance, and even paid for his expensive hobbies. 3 weeks before my college graduation, my old car started making strange noises. The mechanic said it needed a major repair that would cost me a fortune. I called my parents, not asking for a new car, just saying, I might need some help getting to the graduation ceremony. The car isn't reliable. My dad, who was clearly busy with something on his computer, said, "Can't you ask a friend to drive you?" I explained that all my friends were also graduating and had to be there early. My mom chimed in, "We'll figure it out." And then, as if it was the most important thing, she added, "By the way, Ethan got a promotion at his part-time job. We're thinking of getting him a new watch as a reward." A few days later, I went to the family house to pick up some old clothes. I entered through the side door quietly. From the kitchen, I heard my dad say, "The jeweler said the watch will be ready by Friday. We'll give it to Ethan at the graduation. Everyone will be so impressed." My mom replied, "It'll be perfect. Ethan in his suit, the new watch. People will think he's the one graduating." I stood there, frozen, until they noticed me. My dad just cleared his throat and said, "Hey, Bobby. We didn't know you were here." I nodded and left without saying a word. The morning of my graduation, it was raining. The mist clung to my gown, flattening my curls that I'd spent so much time on. I walked to the bus stop, my cap in one hand and my tote in the other. Along the way, I passed families taking pictures, parents helping their children adjust their gowns. I kept my eyes straight ahead, trying not to let the sadness overwhelm me. At the bus stop, an old lady named Mrs. Jenkins was sitting on the bench with an umbrella. She looked up at me and said, "Graduating today?" I nodded. She patted the seat next to her and said, "Sit down before you get soaked. I'm Mrs. Jenkins. I took the bus to my graduation too, many years ago. My parents were at my sister's wedding. I didn't know what to say. She continued, "You learn to be independent, but it's still nice to have someone by your side." The bus arrived, and the driver, a kind-looking man named Mr. Brown, saw my gown and said, "No fair today." "Congratulations, young lady." Inside the bus, a kind-hearted passenger offered me her seat. I mumbled my thanks and sat down, feeling a bit of the weight lift off my shoulders. As the bus approached the campus, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Ethan. "The new watch is amazing. I'm bringing everyone to your graduation. Can't wait for people to see it." I turned off my phone and put it in my bag. When I reached the campus, I found my place among the graduates. The ceremony began, and as students walked across the stage one by one, I clapped and smiled for my classmates. But inside, I was still waiting for that ache in my chest to go away. Then, when my name was called Bobby Thompson, Bachelor of Business Administration, summa cum laude, I stood up. My cap almost slipped as I walked into the aisle. Every step felt like a battle. But then, that cheer from the back of the crowd. It was like a ray of sunshine breaking through the clouds. After the ceremony, in the courtyard filled with families and flowers, my mom came up to me and said brightly, "There you are. We need to take some pictures by Ethan's new watch. It's so shiny." I looked at her and said calmly, "No, I'm not posing for pictures with Ethan's watch on my graduation day." My mom was taken aback. "Don't be difficult, Bobby. It's just a few pictures." I replied, "It's never just a few pictures. You always make my achievements seem like nothing compared to Ethan's." My dad tried to intervene. "You're so independent, Bobby. We thought you didn't need our help." I said, "You just preferred not to be responsible." Ethan stepped forward and said, "I didn't ask for the watch." I said, "I know, you didn't have to." Just then, Ava stepped beside me and said, "Mrs. Thompson, do you remember how your sister was always overlooked? And now you're doing the same to Bobby." My mom's face changed. She looked down, and my dad just stared at the ground. I turned to Ava and said, "I'm going to dinner with my real friends, the ones who actually care about me." My dad called after me, "You can't just walk away from your family." I didn't stop. "Watch me," I said. That night, around 10 o'clock, there was a knock on my door. It was my parents. My dad was holding a box of takeout, and my mom looked a bit nervous. They said they wanted to talk. I let them in and sat them down on the old couch. I took out a shoebox filled with old mementos, my art competition medal, my report cards, and the note from my 17th birthday. I laid them out on the coffee table. My parents stared at the items in silence. I said, "I kept these not to be petty, but to remind myself that I wasn't imagining the way you treated me." Ethan, who had followed them in, looked at the table and said quietly, "I knew it was different, but I didn't know it was this bad." Just then, there was another knock. It was Ava, with a bag of snacks. She looked at the scene and said, "It's about time you all faced the truth." Over the next few hours, we packed my things for my new apartment. My dad helped me load the heavy boxes into his car. He asked, "Are you sure you want to take that old bookshelf?" I said, "I built it myself in my freshman year. I'm taking it." He nodded. Before leaving, Ethan handed me a small box. Inside was a drawing I made when I was a kid, one that I thought was lost. He said, "You should have always been recognized for your talent." I took the box without saying a word, but I felt a small glimmer of hope. As Ava and I drove away, my phone buzzed. It was a text from her. "How does it feel to be starting a new chapter?" I looked at the boxes in the back seat, at the old bookshelf, and at the drawing in my lap. I typed back, "Like the beginning." Then I hit send and looked forward to the road ahead.